Welcome to the Holding Priority Podcast, the Magic the Gathering CEDH podcast. I'm Cardboard Cryptid.
And I'm the Gaming Ghost.
On today's episode, we'll discuss what to do when you need a break from Magic the Gathering CEDH edition.
Just tired of playing? Grab some of this stuff.
Yeah. I've recently have kind of gotten there just because I feel like CEDH has been not really like too static, but there's definitely like if you're making a blue deck, like 12 cards you need to put in, and then if you're making a tricolor deck, like most of your deck is already accounted for. So it's been a little dry. I kind of miss messing around with like typal decks and stuff like that. But yeah, I just thought it'd be a good episode topic. If you're a CDH enjoyer and you want to hear about CDH, this one might not be for you. But if you're curious about other things that you can do, like let's say there's a dry spell between tournaments that it's going to last like three months or something like that, and you're just like, what else can I do but still stay in Magic? This will be for you.
I mean, I think there's a lot of skills you have in CEDH that can transfer into the other formats, like especially like drafting and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, like deck building by itself is like that, and there's also been some things where our group has been playing Arena, and one of our friends was playing, and they accidentally mana drained an uncounterable spell, and then all of a sudden they went to like their main one, and they got the mana, and they were like, "What?" And we ended up looking up the gatherer listing, and it's like, no, you can attempt to counter an uncounterable spell, and you still get the mana. So like, if somebody plays something crazy big that's uncounterable, you can be like, well, I know I can't counter it, but like I do want the 8 mana on my turn or something.
Yeah.
So like there's been some stuff that I'm just like, I did not know that this worked that way.
Just like the rules are set in stone in some of the computer-based games.
Yeah, Mandarin's weird because like usually it will say like counter target spell if you counter it, get this, and Mandarin just says counter target spell on your next upkeep, get mana equal to the CMC. So like it doesn't even care if it got countered, which is interesting. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, let's get into the shuffle up. So our last episode, we got a lot of views, a lot of comments. Just to be honest, whenever I uploaded it, I was uploading it on Mother's Day evening, and I had a big old plate of crawfish in front of me, and I was trying to meet a deadline and also eat that crawfish and have a good Mother's Day. So unfortunately, I slapped a placeholder image on that video, and I forgot about it until like Thursday, which was only a couple days. But I went back because I was just like, oh, let me see how the video is doing. And we had like 700 views on it, and it was at a 26% like. So like people were like downvoting it because it had kind of a clickbait image on it. We had previously in August of last year discussed like what we think should be on the CDH ban list. This was before like they banned all of the stuff in September. So we had made like a cover art then that was just kind of what our discussion was, and we didn't think that clearly cards were going to get banned in Commander. So it was okay then, and I kind of just like slapped that one up, and I was like, I'll make a better one later. And yeah, you guys let us know you didn't like that, and it's fixed now. So there you go.
Also unintentional.
Yeah.
And so if you
Yeah.
if you're listening to the next one and you're like, yeah, these guys were kind of cool,
Yeah.
that was for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
For all the other ones, like, my bad.
Yeah. My bad that I tried to have a good Mother's Day. Shame on me. But I'm not going to read the bad comments. Let's read the good comments. Somebody said the Tim Nadargo guy sounds like he knows what's up. I would love to see his deck list. Love the podcast. Can't wait for the new one. If you guys were interested in that Tim Nadargo list, we did put it in the reply. That was from Cully Cuniff. I think 1776. So if you guys are interested in that deck list, it's really cool. Sometimes it just seems like they're sitting there, and then all of a sudden we're just like, okay, pass. And they're like, I have 20 actions to take now. It's like, whoa, how many counters do you have? this isn't good. So it goes. And one of our other friends has gotten pretty good success on a similar list with the same commanders. So it's been cool to see locally somebody playing something that we're like used to going against and pretty afraid of too.
Yeah, I mean, it's an explosive deck in and of itself, and you don't really think Dargo too much. However, he comes out like every game.
Yeah, I like it because it just really out of nowhere. Like you can have nothing on the board and three lands, or like even like an Esper Sentinel and 3 lands, and then all of a sudden the person's just like, all right, it's my turn, and then they just drop something and you're just like, I don't know if that's scary enough for me to like waste my counter off of. And then they take their next action and you can like see that it's starting to like snowball, and you're like, oh man, I should have stopped that other one. Like I just did not think that we were here already.
Yeah, and I think as early as like turn 2 or 3.
Yeah, I've been on my turn 1 and seen that deck win on turn 2 whenever I had a stacks piece out that they had to get rid of with a portable hole, and still won.
Hey.
Wizard Whimsy back again, says you can't just go off the restrictions of the brackets. You have to factor in the intention of the deck. I like Gifts Unbanned. It gives a budget-friendly option for intuition. The Game Changers list is a joke, and most of the cards that make a commander good on that list is just stop adding the commander to the list. Yeah, I see that. I do think that like the list itself is more meant to facilitate discussion. Like it's not the end all be all, but it is kind of like it's weird because it's guidelines from Magic on who you should play. So if you're like, it's hard to like talk to somebody and be like, hey, I'm running a Tali, Food Chain Atali, but like it's definitely a 2. Like I should be able to play with you guys. Or like, yeah, I'm running a Mono Blue Urza, and in order to like stay relevant, I have to have all of the free counters because it's Mono Blue. But like I feel like I should play in bracket 2 or 3. Like, oh, I can't sit with you guys. Like what? Like
I don't really personally don't like the bracket system. I understand it. I understand the need for it rather. And I think it's kind of interesting now that I don't really see a big difference between 4 and 5 or whatever it is, the last two.
Yeah, I think 4 and 5 there's really not supposed to be a difference other than like mindset of like, I'm building to win a game in 80 minutes, but 4 is more like they just want to play with their friends at a really high level. Like if you're just on spell tape and you're like, I have no intentions of ever going to a tournament, I don't care that I need to win in 80 minutes, I'm going to make a deck that wins eventually. That's 4. And then 5 is like, I am going to a tournament tomorrow to win money, like us. Yeah. And that is it for our new comments. Please keep in mind we do have a link tree. There are some pretty crazy deals going on in TCG Player. I know as we're recording, there's like a 13% store credit back. That won't be live when this goes, but I've been surprised by the amount of emails that I've gotten where it's just like, hey, Black Friday-ish deal, get 10% store credit back. This one include the Final Fantasy boxes, which was really cool. I did put the link. I did hit everybody up in the Discord about it just so that they were aware, and I just put our link just so that people had a handy link, not for any other reason.
No other reason.
But just a reminder, if you guys want to join the Discord, it's still pretty small. We are pretty active in it. I mostly just especially with the Final Fantasy card spoilers, I've been pretty hyped about those. So I put a couple in, or if I see like a really good deal on cards, sometimes I'll put it in. Just things to keep you interested and engaged in Magic, or if you guys want to maybe get a spell table game in with us, it's there. We're almost like double digit member strong. I think I'm gonna make some like cool Discord roles for like first 10 that joined in, then first 25, then first 50. So if, a couple years down the road it becomes a big community, you'll have that badge that's just like, yeah, I was the first 10 members, or first 25. I think that'll be fun. And then just a reminder that if you are listening to this on podcast platforms, we do have a YouTube. If you want to go over there and subscribe, we're almost hitting 100 subscribers, which first 100 subscribers is the hardest to get. Some channels don't ever get there. We're almost there. So I have a separate channel that I put Pokemon stuff on, and that one is almost 1,000 subscribers strong. But I remember my first 100 took the longest time, and then once I had that 100, I was pretty much in 1,000 within the next like 6 months. So if you're listening to this and you're a small creator and you're just like, I never feel like I'm getting over that hump, takes about a year to get your first 100. And once you kind of dedicate yourself to it and just kind of go like, I'm going to do it no matter what, I'm doing it for me. If other people listen to it, that's great. If not, I enjoy it. That's kind of where the mindset is. And then all of a sudden something will click. A video will go viral or something. And then you just got a lot of new listeners and subscribers. I think that's pretty cool. If you guys clearly you guys are listening to the podcast, so you're part of the initial wave. So thank you guys so much.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. And if you want your comment read on the next episode, that'll be our Final Fantasy episode. Please leave a comment or a like on the YouTube video. Or if you're on Spotify, you can also leave comments there too. For some reason, it only works on mobile still. So just FYI. All right, let's get into today's subject, which is what to do on a break from CEDH. So I've been into about a 2-week break, and it feels really weird to just be like, I have a deck that has like a land that is $1,000 and I'm taking a break. But breaks are healthy. They're good. You don't want to stick your nose to the grindstone and, just keep hitting your head against the wall and be like, why am I not going? Like sometimes you need to step away from the wall and go, oh, okay, there's a door on this wall. I just need to step to the right or something like that.
Also a good refresher for your mind, because like I remember we were going to tournaments back to back, and I kind of felt like my brain was turning into mashed potatoes.
I will say I was kind of on autopilot for that last tournament, because I was just like, it was more in a like, I don't know, whenever you work like a bunch of hours at work and you're just like, I just need to push through to my days off. Like that's kind of where I was at. One of the things that I've been doing on break was I kind of checked out MTG Arena. I know that we used to play somewhat standard 2 years ago. But I had a friend talk about Brawl a lot, and like to me I was just like, what is Brawl? Like what's that? And I checked it out and I was like, oh, it's 1v1 Commander. Like I don't know why they called it Brawl, but this is Commander. So I've been having fun with that. I like that it's 1v1, so those more like threatening commanders that you probably couldn't play at a table of 4. Like for me, Kona is a good one. I built a Kona deck, which Kona is a 3 generic green 4/3. Whenever it's tapped on your main 2, you can put any permanent from your hand onto the battlefield, which is like, it's no cast, nobody can counter it, it's just an ability. And then all of a sudden you like, put the biggest stacks piece in the game out, where like you drop the biggest like dinosaur, like mono green dinosaur that you can. And it's been a lot of fun. Whenever Kona first came out, if you guys remember that episode, we were pretty high on it. and then all of a sudden the bans hit right away. I think even Play to Win was running Kona, and then the bans happened, and then they were just like, this deck, it wasn't great before the bans, and it just cannot play now.
Yeah.
And then the other difference is it's 25 life instead of 40 life. So you're just really focusing on that one person. I've been liking it. It's kind of my get coffee and turn my brain on in the morning thing. And sometimes at night, if I'm just like, I need to wind down, but I need to do something that's kind of like, I'm not really going to say it doesn't take like a lot of brain power, because like the arena system is kind of weird. Like if you can imagine phase changes and like all that stuff digitally, it takes a little bit to kind of get what you're trying to do. There's been times where like I was like, okay, well, at the end of my combat phase, I need to do this. And then I hit like pass, like auto pass, and it passed me all the way to the end of my turn where I wouldn't be like paying attention. And I'd pass through my opponent's turn because I wouldn't have any mana. And then I'd get to my turn, and for some reason I wouldn't realize that it was like my turn. I'd be like, oh, the thing got turned off, and I'd click it, and then it would just pass through my turn.
Oh, no.
Like the entire turn, like draw. I would do my draw, and then it would pass through main combat, main 2 end step, like with no stops at all. And you can like put stops, like you can click and be like, hey, at my opponent's end step, I want to stop, and you can like click it. So it's been interesting because usually in like CEDH, it's pretty forgiving when you're like playing with people, like not with a computer assisting, because like someone can like roll, they're like, all right, I'm going to end step. It's like, you didn't go to combat, you didn't go to main 2, like I need you to go to combat. And they're like, oh, okay, going to combat. Like stuff like that. And like that level is not there. But I mean, at the same time, like you're only dealing with one opponent rather than 3, and you're playing half the time rather than 25% of the time. So it's been pretty fun. I've kind of found that for me personally, it's a good place for me to have those decks that I want to kind of like play around with, but I don't really want to build at a CDH level. But like I couldn't play them at not a CDH level. Like I would cheat out like a God Pharaoh's Throne with Kona at like a casual table, and they'd be like, what are you doing? You know, like, get out. Like it's been fun. Like I made I think I've probably talked about it on the podcast a couple times, the Perforos Goblin deck, where it's Perforos as the commander and then just a bunch of Goblin creature tokens. And the idea is like you kind of rush out Perforos, and then every Goblin that enters is 2 damage, like immediately to somebody's face. And then you have like a Goblin swarm that they have to deal with, and they're also taking damage while they're entering. And it's been fun. And then I've been playing Codis, which is the not Selesnya, black, blue, green. I always forget the name of that one.
Is it Sultai?
Sultai, yeah. It's the new Sultai indestructible 2/1 commander that's Voltron, where whenever they hit, you reveal the top X cards of your opponent's library, and you're able to cast for free cards that are CMC equal to his attack and lower. So like if you buff him up to like 8, and then he swings through, which like blue, you can make things unblockable pretty easily. And he's like indestructible, so like you don't even care if he gets blocked for the most part. You can swing in and like buff him up to 5, and then you exile the top 5 cards off your opponent's library, and then you cast everything 5 CMC and less, which is like most of the deck that it's non-land. So all of a sudden you'll just be like, oh, I've got a lot of creatures on my side. They're your creatures, but I got a lot. Yeah. And the deck's fun because it's blue, green, and black. So it's all protection, like hexproof protection in green, buffs in green, flying and unblockable in blue. And then like if you have a blocker that you just can't get rid of, black to kill it, which is fun. Like,
I just picked up Arena maybe like last weekend, and I had it previously, so I've opened all of the extra packs I had from
Oh yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
which was really fun. And then I'm trying to get a lot of the red um, card creator so that I can make a deck as well.
Oh, the mythic.
Yeah,
Yeah, the blank mythics, yeah.
and I haven't really gotten into too many crazy games. Like mainly, it's just been AI stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I like playing those like weird little decks just to kind of numb my brain a little. Um, However, like for me, a good break is like playing draft. Like I did
Yeah,
a
yeah.
draft last weekend with a buddy, and shout out to him. He's
We have a friend that literally like ranks on drafts, like plays drafts every Friday at our local game store, and then like prizes out through arena like actual money in drafts. Like
yeah. I mean, it's crazy the skill level
yeah,
because there's a clear difference in a pre-release and then you watch these people play and you're like how are you getting so high on
yeah.
this thing. And I don't know, it's an interesting way to play drafts and pre-releases. I'll kind of say them both.
Yeah, like I did the Talk Here pre-release, and then right after I had a draft coin, and I don't know where I got it from, but it was just on my account on Arena. So I was like, okay, I'd like some cards. And like I went into Arena draft with the starry-eyed like, ooh, I just want to pull some dragons and like swing some dragons. And then I was like going against people and I was like, oh, they like literally know like what to get from the first pull, the second pull. Like they're very refined and like these are the things I get. These are the cards that are like good. Like, these are the cards that are the most efficient in draft. And like I'm over here with like a 5-color dragon deck that I got like second place with in the pre-release, just like going 0 and 3. Like it was fun, but it was kind of crazy where I was just like, okay, like these are people that like play draft probably all the time.
It's crazy that it's an actual skill, which I
Hmm.
guess anything you do would get refined over time.
Yeah.
But by no means am I great at it, but I do have a lot of fun playing.
It's interesting to me because like with Commander, you have access to like, tens of thousands of cards, and the idea of Commander is I have access to everything. What is the most like synergistic combos that I can do, and how do I make those consistent? And then draft is more just chaos, but organized chaos where you're like, okay, these are my options. Like, what's the most efficient card here? Cool. And then you get another pack and you're just like, oh, this card like wins games. I'm gonna pivot to this. Like the other card that I got, maybe I don't use it. Maybe I do this. And it's like knowing when to pivot, knowing what cards are efficient, and then also you can't just get all of the efficient cards and then be like, oh no, I have a 5-color deck. Like you have to decide, like, am I doing a 2-color deck? Like, do I have enough mana fixing for a 3-color deck? Like there's a lot of decisions in the moment when you're looking at a pack of cards and you've got to pass it in like a minute.
And not only that, but you kind of get savvy to what cards are getting drafted from everybody else as
Yeah, yeah.
well. So it's like, okay, so clearly nobody's playing blue or black or whatever color, and clearly this one is going. It's not making it around the table.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, just the mindset is interesting to me, but because it's a whole new skill set on like very basic cards to try
Hmm.
to do. Now you might get a good one, but
Yeah, and like to me it's always crazy to see the decks that won where I'm like, "Oh, like what the person that got first place, like what they draft?" And then it's just like red white soldier goblins or like
yeah,
something like that where it's like, yeah, they're just like a whole bunch of little dudes and this Corey Steel Cutter or whatever, like is good, and I hope to get that, and if I don't get that, then I try to get this, and it's like, okay, I don't get how that worked, but like, good for you.
I I had the opportunity in one of the games to play one of the top drafters at one of the pre-releases,
Yeah,
and he was like, "Well, let me see your deck," and I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Why do you have this and this card? You want to kind of because my thing is always to keep my curve low.
yeah,
However,
yeah.
these turns go to like 6 sometimes,
That is one
and
thing that I learned is you don't draft like you're playing CDH where like 4 is too much. Like you have to have you're trying to get to late games so that you can drop those threats that are just unable to be dealt with, and then it's like, okay, I've fought the entire game to get this big 6 cost dragon out, and now that it's out, I win unless they remove it, and then if they remove it, hopefully I've got something else to replace it with.
yeah, this is my bomb.
Yeah.
Um, I also, you know, in general, there's a lot of games that have came out too.
Oh
Not to
yeah,
get
yeah.
out of
Yeah, yeah.
Magic, but um, I don't know. Just there's a good Switch game here and there that comes out, or a good PlayStation or something. It's a good mind break from cards.
I've been playing 8-bit horror games on Steam Deck.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's weird. I can't explain why, but the first one that I played was Faith, and it's like literally 8-bit, like 8-bit sound, like rotoscoping and all of that, where it's like a horror game where you're just running around like your SNES, and for some reason like the sounds are like terrifying. And like I actually put that up on my like Pokemon channel, and it was when I first moved into this house, so it was like kind of new, and I was playing it dark all by myself, and I was just hearing like like stuff like that, but like an 8 like chip tune, and
Mm.
I was just like, this is terrifying. Or like I ran into like this thing, and it cut to a cut scene, and it's just this like bloody 8-bit thing and like chip tune like screaming at me, and I was like, oh my god. And then I recently like kind of wanted to get back into that, and I downloaded I think it's called like Don't Look or something like that. And it's kind of like a RPG meets like Silent Hill the Room, where you're stuck in an apartment and you're trying to figure out a way out, but you can't look out any of the windows because there's like a cosmic horror that if you look outside the window, it notices you and it turns you into this like crazy monster. So like literally I started the game, and the game is called Don't Look, and I saw that my window looked weird. So I go to the window, and it was like, "Do you want to look?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then
It's the loss.
insta loss. It says you lose, and I was like transformed into this like twisted amalgamum, and like, but it's like interesting because all of your neighbors, you go into their apartment, and like some of them have like trench coats, but you can tell they have like tentacles and stuff. They're like, no, I'm fine. I didn't look out the window.
Hmm.
And like crazy stuff like that. But it's like JRPG where like you can recruit people into your party if you like talk to them the right way or give them the right thing, and you're equipping like things that you would normally find like scavenging around like an apartment. I don't know why, like just the 8-bit nature is calming but extremely scary to me.
I don't know. There's a lot of good, like, I guess they would be like roguelikes.
Oh yeah.
Um, I enjoy those too.
Binding of Isaac is
Yeah,
just, yeah.
all over Binding of Isaac.
And then the new kind of new genre, the Vampire Survivor genre, is like really fun too.
Yeah, I like that one as well. Um, although to get back on Magic, there's
Yeah.
also uh,
MTGO.
yeah. Um, I don't know. In general, just go into the local store. Like I hadn't done that in a long time,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and just kind of chatting it up with all of the peeps.
Looking at all the singles that are in the case.
Yeah, oh yeah, I love cards.
Yeah.
Um, drafting is a random way to get a bunch, but
Yeah.
also little small like pre-releases, or I don't know. I feel like they're about the same if you draft. I mean, draft is a little bit more of a
Yeah, like
camaraderie aspect, but
for so like I think it's called sealed. I don't even know. Like we don't really play it much, but I think pre-releases are sealed because you're not really drafting. You get the 8 packs and you make something from those. And then draft is the open the pack and then hand it to the right and left type of situation, which like to me they're the same, really.
pretty similar, yeah.
But I get that, you know, statistically math wise you're able to get like more diverse things from like multiple packs than just, oh, I have 9 packs and I build something from that. Thing I like about sealed is like I don't have to interact with people whenever I'm building my deck, which sounds bad, but
Yeah, and you kind of get what you get.
and
There's not.
you don't ever have that person that's like rare drafting because that's you, because it's all of your packs.
Yeah.
I remember I went to a pre-release and I forgot the name of the card, but there was a rare that basically like you could get it and it was a green enchantment and it you could make 59 or it's 40 card for those, I think. So 39 forests and then just that enchantment. And you would deck your opponent if that enchantment was in your opening hand and you could cast it. And it was like a 4 or 5 cost enchantment. So this dude comes in, gets that in his first pack, and then it's just like, I don't need anything else. I'm just going to make a meme deck. And then rare drafts the rest of them. So they have like 12 rares in their thing.
That's funny.
And like, it was funny because like, I was like, I want to be mad at you, but like, you did build a deck. Like, you came and did what you wanted to do. I've been playing MTGO recently, which is Magic Online, which is really old. And when you load into it, like it looks like it's like GeoCities old, like early 2000s old, and it might be. But it's like interesting because I remember MTGO from back when we were like in high school, because I remember if you got like a full set of the cards, they would send you the extra like in like the physical cards in the mail. I remember thinking that was crazy, and like I load in and I'm like, oh, this has like the set that just came out last week. So like they've continued to like upkeep it. And at the time I was wanting to play Elvery. Like I put together Elvery, which is Selesnya stacks, like beat 'em up, and I saw that I could still buy the precon, and the precon is pretty much everything that you'd need. And then there was like a intro to commander pack that they were offering at the time, and it was like Magic had contacted a lot of the like creators to promote it to, and this is about like maybe a year ago, so it's probably past, but it was like $20 and you just got every lower rock. Like you weren't getting like the $200 rocks or whatever, but pretty much everything that you need, like your soul rings, your Felwar stones, a lot of really good like sax pieces, all of those green enchantments that you need for the lands. Like realistically everything you would need to start in Commander. Like you're not going to have like those huge $100 bomb cards or whatever. And there's a way to trade on that. I don't know if this is probably like an ancient reference, but do you remember Diablo 2? Whenever you wanted to trade, you'd have to like go to a website and then like buy whatever that they were, like when you could buy gear, and you'd buy it through the website, and then you'd tell them what realm you were on, and then they'd come into the realm and drop the item, and then you'd pick it up, and then they'd like leave. Like,
yeah, that was old.
yeah. So it's like that. That's how you get new cards.
It's old.
And maybe there's a different way, but like it was pretty intimidating. So I was just like, yeah, no, like I'm just gonna work with what I have. And I built that Elvery Stacks deck, and it was like working pretty well. It's definitely not bracket 5, but it's bracket 4, because I don't have like Chrome Mox and stuff like that. Oh, that's the other thing about, like, to go back to Brawl real quick, it blew my mind to be like, hey, I need a Chrome Mox, and I would just be like, oh, click, craft it with a rare, or craft it with a mythic. Cool. Like, like I needed a Ragavan for my new deck, and I was like, I guess I have a mythic card. Oh yeah. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should make Blood Moon. And Blood Moon was a mythic, and I was just like, that's what? Ragavan is a mythic and Blood Moon's a mythic? Like it's cool how obtainable those cards are, where you can just be like, hey, I need this. Or like in Brawl there's no Soul Ring. So I was just like, oh, there's like key cards that are missing too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to be like, everything that's like contained in Arena you can use, but Arena's only been around since Ravnica. So like, there's reprints, of course, but like you're missing some key stuff intentionally. And the MTGO is you have access to everything, including the Moxes. They're really expensive. You know, they're as expensive there as physical.
No, I don't know about that.
Well, and the other thing that's crazy is MTGO is probably the best practice for tournaments that you'll get, because they're meant to be 80-minute games and everybody has a 20-minute timer like chess.
Oh, okay.
So like when you start your turn, the timer goes, and then whenever priority's passed, each person has to pass their priority or it ticks down their timer. So you have 20 minutes to win, period. So it's really interesting to just be like, okay, like, let me look at my hand when it's not my turn, or like something comes up and you're like, should I counter it? And like you have to go like, oh wait, I only have 20 minutes of time. Like once that time is gone, I forfeit. But there's not like, not to use Krark Shakashima, but there's not decks like Krark Shakashima where they're like, okay, we all have 80 minutes, but I'm going to take 60 minutes of it.
Yeah, like, I'm going to play it all.
Yeah, it's interesting to play something where like time is actually of the essence. Like even whenever I'm thinking about like if I'm going to counter something, or what I'm going to do with my hand, like they want you to be thinking about those things on other people's turns. So when you have priority and time ticking down, you're like,
it's efficient.
Boom, 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 go. And like the matches still last about an hour, so it's not something like Arena where you can sit down and while you're eating breakfast kind of go through a couple games. Like if you sit down and start playing MTGO Commander, it's a commitment, but there's also a chat on the side where everybody's like trying to politic and all that. I remember whenever I was playing Elvery, everybody was like, yeah, I might be bad, but at least I let you play the game. Like that person has stacks, so like let's kill them. I was just like, what? The people are politicking online in chat? That's interesting.
Yeah. I've never played that outright, or if I did, it's been a long time ago. I really like collecting cards.
Yeah.
And I like getting cards from random places.
Yeah.
So like I knew, like, not to get off of the virtual, but like taking a drive to like a secluded Walmart.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a small mom and pop shop that has Magic but has other stuff.
Yeah. Or going to, like how I was lucky, going to a pawn shop in like some random small town and then seeing a box that like looks really weathered and going, what's in that? And someone goes, oh, they're Magic cards. And then like opening up the thing, and after you buy it, I bought it for $10 and it had like 4 Final Fortunes, 3 Fast Bonds, like like no like dual lands or anything like that. But it was funny because I was just like, oh, here's Pyroblasts and Red Elemental Blasts and Final Fortunes and all that.
I mean, I think that's part of it too, is to I mean, I love looking at cards. Mm-hmm. So like anytime we go to a tournament, like seeing what card, I'll spend probably like 30 minutes at the counter looking at stuff and weighing my options. But
we went to one and I was trying to get Rocco, all of my stuff in there signed, because I had Rocco signed, I had Food Chain signed, and like all that stuff has gone to other decks and like they're still signed, but yeah. I remember going in and they had a signed Ranger Captain, and I was like, normally I like to get them signed because I'm like, yeah, I met the artist, but I was like, how much is that Ranger Captain? They're like, oh, it's damaged. It's $5 off the normal price. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, we treat them as heavy played when we get them in signed, because like that's what they would be online. So like this is actually going to be cheaper than a new Ranger Captain, and I was just like, give me that.
Yeah, let me have it. I think when we went to one of the big tournaments, one of our first tournaments at the location in Dallas,
Mhm.
I found one of the Ristic studies
Oh yeah.
and pretty much got it with my placing. I had like a little bit more to pay, but
Yeah.
I had some store credit from what I placed.
I remember I placed pretty high in that too, and I got well, not high, but like enough to get like a $20 card. I got the Japanese Teferi's protection from Strixhaven,
Oh, that's awesome.
and I was just like, this is cool.
Yeah. And just in general, like there's, I would say if you need a break from it, but you want to stay in like the Magic, mindset, check out some Walmarts.
Yeah.
Like Second and Charles is another one that's really good that has some cards. They don't really sell singles or anything like that, but you might find some of the older packs.
I've seen some like collectors like I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but in our Walmarts, there's like those big chunky boxes that's one
Come on,
collector's
yeah,
pack. And they usually sell them for like, $39. Well, normal price. But they'll do discounts on them where they're like, oh, this thing has been around a long time. It's $25 now.
yeah.
And just today, I was in one of the Facebook communities and someone had bought three of the Lord of the Rings collector box or like
Yeah.
boosters for $25 each. And I was just like, there's a specific Walmart that we used to go to like 2 years ago that always had like fire. And I was like, I want to go check that. Like, it's like an hour away, but
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like we always get something. Like,
yeah.
I don't think by any means we got value, but we kind of make a day out of it, and it's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
And then like for us, I mean, this is probably not great for the international listeners, but Dollar General as well is one of those things where like I collect Pokemon cards too, so we go into Dollar General and they'd have like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, sometimes really old Magic cards, and then really old Pokemon cards where I'm like, this is a $40 sealed pack, and they have it for like $5.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Speaking about altered cards, that was my next one. See, uh,
Think I know where you're going
yeah.
with this, man.
I started doing card alters just to kind of spruce up my deck while I'm not really playing. So that next tournament I go to, I have like, all these cool like tokens. I personally prefer to do it with tokens just because when you alter like an actual card itself or the commander and it goes into the deck, I know that like you'll have to go up to like the shop owner and be like, hey, is this okay? And then they have to look at it and then shuffle your deck and see if it like breaks on there. Like I've had that happen where they're like, yeah, shuffle your deck a couple times. They're like, oh, it always breaks on this like altered card. Like, no, you can't have it or something like that. Um, but I made recently Astral Dragon doesn't have a token for itself. And it's weird because like it's a really common card in CDH at least, but I've even seen it with like casual decks too. And the set it came with didn't have a 3/3 copy dragon. And when you go to Scryfall, they just suggest that you use the actual like copy tokens
Oh yeah.
to show that it's like a copy of like Ristic Study, but it's not. It's a 3/3 dragon flying copy. So I made one of those to go with Hashaton, and then I started a Hashaton altar where the altars are like I'll probably do like an actual like video or like bonus podcast. Well, it'd probably have to be a video on how to alter a card. But I used to do them for Pokemon where I'd extend the art on the Pokemon cards.
Mm.
But so you get like a really fine grade sandpaper and you sand down all of the areas that you want to paint. So like usually on Magic cards, you're leaving like the name of the commander, the power and toughness, the legendary creature like stripe. And then you get like very fine, like high grade sandpaper and you scratch up the rest of it. And then you do like a primer coat with whatever color. Like if it's going to be a dark card, you use gray. If it's going to be a light card, you use white. and then you let that dry, and then you start doing like your sketch on top of it, and then you paint on top of it. But with the cards, it's interesting because like you don't want them to be thick so that they don't fit in the sleeve anymore. You're trying to like as thinly as possible do as many layers as possible to get all the details. And then something that with a Hashiton, my idea with Hashiton was to find like a Black Plague like woodcut art from back in the day and copy that onto Hashiton because he's kind of like a necromancer. And I found a person on Facebook that does really cool altars of like they did like an altar of like the alien from the movie Alien, but like it looks exactly like the character. And they had a video where they were like, here's my process. And I didn't realize that they have carbon paper and they put the card down, they put carbon paper, and then on top of it, they put actual printout that's been squished down to card size. And then they just take like a pen and draw over the top and trace it. And then whenever they take it off with the carbon copy like contact paper, the contact paper has drawn on the card for them. So they're basically like tracing but through the carbon copy paper, and then they paint on top of it. I was like, oh, okay, like that's why Elijah Wood on their card looks exactly like Elijah Wood from The Hobbit. Like, and like, you know, clearly they are very skilled. Like, it's not just that, but I mean, I was trying to make a dragon, and I was like messing. So I was just like, I will definitely trace over something to like make a better card. Especially if I'm just like, I want to literally replicate a wood block cut from this historic time on a Hashiton. So I've been doing that too. And then the only other thing that I had was I had previously done a cube before. And I'm going to be honest, I did not realize how cool cubes were until I saw there's a creator on YouTube called Heuristic Studies. They did a breakdown of the history of a 100 ornithopter cube. And one of our friends, the person that you drafted with, did that. And we played it. And at the time, we were just playing in a coffee shop, and I'd never played a cube before. So I was like, oh, this is like a draft. And I didn't realize that they said it was 100 ornithopter cube, but I didn't realize that ornithopter was the only creature in the cube and was the only way to win. So I drafted a bunch of ornithopters, which are 0 cost, 0/2 flying artifact creatures. I didn't realize I need to be drafting buffs for them or like equipment that made them bigger. So I ended up making a deck that at the end of the day, all it did was tinker a ornithopter into a Phyrexian portal, and I had to steal everybody else's stuff. But I'm just stealing their ornithopters, so like, and not buffing. So really, it became a like control deck where my entire goal, because I misdrafted, was to just make the other person draw out before I did.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it was fun. But I didn't realize like how much thought goes into a cube because like the video went like over how to make a cube, and this person that we played, he had actually made it his own. Like he saw the idea of 100 ornithopters, and I didn't even realize that he actually like put it on Twitter, and the original person that had the idea saw his cube, and it was really cool because there's a picture of him, and then he laid all of the cards out on the floor. So it's the entire cube on a floor, and then a picture of him, and you can see all the ornithopters and everything. But cube is something that is like a curated experience where you take 360 cards and you make basically like a draft where you're like, these 360 cards are what's in the cube. I've decided that we're going to do like an ornithopter event, or I was looking into one. I don't think I'm going to build it, but the entire point of the cube was it was all colorless. So it was all colorless, like Eldrazi and stuff like that, or all devoid cards, which I didn't realize that there's a lot of devoid cards like out there, like 90 or so. Um, but like you basically go like, hey, here's all these cards. They're meant to be synergistic. Like red is like throwing artifacts at people and dealing damage. Green is basically like tutoring up like big Eldrazi's and popping them out. Blue is like highly controlled where it removes like colorless spells really easily. White does this, and then if you go into like Azorius, it's affinity for artifacts, or if you go into like Gruul, there's a big payoff Eldrazi that buffs everything really big. So you kind of like show everybody the cube. You kind of give them like a real quick, like, this is what each color does. Or you don't, you just give them like, this is the devoid cube, have fun. you know?
Mm.
But what I didn't know is there's CubeCon every year where everybody brings their cubes, and the most popular cubes are kind of treated like actual like world tournaments where you sit down and you play the cube and you go through like a whole tournament with just this cube that somebody's made, and it's like streamed online and everybody watches it like it's like actual like professional Magic, which I mean at the end of the day it is,
Mm.
for people that enjoy cube, but like they take it really seriously. And it was just really cool because specifically the 100 Ornithopter cube, they had made like some just for fun rules that every time a Ornithopter killed a player, so they late numbered all the Ornithopters 1 through 100. Anytime one killed, so like let's say you're in a match and you have Ornithopter 39 and it does the last blow, you put a little hash mark on the Ornithopter, and then the more people play the cube, they'll be like, oh wow, I drafted like Ornithopter 42, it's got like 10 confirmed kills. Or
No,
like
that's crazy.
the other rule was if you 3-0 someone, you get to choose the Ornithopter that dealt the last damage in the third round, and you get to make it custom. So like somebody turned one of the Ornithopters into like the Red Baron Snoopy, and it has like 10 confirmed kills on it, and stuff like that. And like everybody that continues drafting that cube from then on will see that alter and like see how many confirmed kills each Ornithopter got. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that's a cool way to take like your bulk and have some fun with it. That's one thing that I notice is like I'll have a lot of cards and I'm like, I don't necessarily want to get rid of these, but I know I can't really send them in a card conduit because card conduit really is only interested in rares. Like I can't really, I could take it to like a local shop, but the local shop is probably going to be like, I don't want to go through this. Like, I'll give you $1 for every 1,000, which I mean is better than throwing away. And then the other thing that I've seen is there's like after school programs that accept cards that you can send to, and it's like to keep kids off the street. They just give them Magic cards. And they're like, hey, here's a different drug. It's cardboard. Like, don't do this. But I've been trying to kind of figure out ways to like, I like to open packs, unfortunately.
Yep.
With Final Fantasy coming up, we're gonna open a lot.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of fun to see different ways where I can transform my bulk from, instead of it being a burden, into maybe something that's like fun. The other thing that we have done too is played Dan Dan, which is the Forgetful Fish game.
I like it. It's pretty fun. It's to me, it's a little bit harder. Like I don't necessarily understand the concept.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that if you don't understand the concept, it's harder to stay ahead.
Yeah. It's been a while since we played it, but like in recent memory, don't quote me on this. I don't remember how many cards. I think it's a 100-card deck.
Mm-hmm.
But each person plays from one deck. So you draw your 7, and then every time you draw, you guys are drawing from a deck in the middle. And then the idea of Dan Dan is you're trying to manipulate the top. So like there's a consigned to memory. No, that's the new card. There's some counter that whenever you counter the spell, instead of putting it in the graveyard, you put it on top of the deck. So like you could play a spell and I'm like, oh, I want that. And I would counter it and then send it to the top of the deck. And then I would draw it on my draw phase and be like, oh, hey, it's a Dan Dan.
Mm.
But that's another thing where it's like a curated experience. Like, going in, this is Dan Dan. The only source of damage is the actual Dan Dan creature fish. And there's all kinds of ways to like kill it, give it island walk, all of that. And we've played 3 or 4 different variations where like one of them is Miracle Dan Dan, where instead of the Dan Dans, it's the 1 cost Miracle red burn spell that whenever you draw it, you can cast it for its Miracle right away, and it costs 5. So like manipulating the top of the deck to where you're going to get that Miracle cost and like burn your opponent. That's the only way to do damage. There's also one called Chef. That's a green black deck that has to deal with like food. And I think it's like Dockside Chef or something like that, where the idea is to like feed your opponent until they get to a certain life and then they die because they like explode. Like,
I'll say with those type like cubes and Dan Dan, those are really good for your friends that don't necessarily play Magic.
yeah, like don't play Magic, or you want to bring everybody to the same level. So like for us, our casual friends that like don't play CDH, it's a cool way for us to like actually play them. Or vice versa, our casual friends that don't have the cards to play CDH or don't have any interest in like proxying or anything like that, they can come to those events and they actually get to play with us on a very fair level, where it's not just us like completely like decimating their like zombie deck or like.
Yeah. So a minute ago, you were like, I think we're on the same page. We were close.
Yeah.
So just, I'm not as artistically inclined as you. Like you've always been able to illustrate things on the paper.
Yeah.
Me personally, I was thinking more of like events.
Oh yeah, like getting things signed.
Yeah, getting things signed, or conventions.
Oh, I mean, conventions. I love conventions.
Like conventions give you another aspect of being a card goblin.
Yeah.
Like you never know. Well, you do if you're like really keeping up with it. But if you're just going to a random convention, like see what artists are there as you go in. Like there's a lot of stuff that you'll be like, oh man, there's this card or this card.
MagicCon was crazy for me because like we were getting cards signed. I'm sure we went into this at length in our MagicCon episodes, but we're getting card signs and one of us would get stuck in a line where it's like, I need this key card signed. Like I'm going to be here for an hour. And then what I was doing was I was walking around all the other artists and I would try to snipe the lines whenever I was like, oh, there's only like 2 people here. And I was really lucky where the guy that did the like very crazy full art deafening silence, nobody in line. And I was just like, please sign my card. Like if you want to do like a 15-minute signature and I need to pay more, like I'm happy to do it. Like $5 to get my card signed, thrilled. There's nobody in line. $10 to $15 if you just take a long time. And they were like, you're the only one in line, like nobody's here. I'll just doodle up your card for the same price. Like I committed to signing all day. If you're here for 10 minutes and we just like, shoot the poo, like for 10 minutes, I'll just doodle over the card. So I got a really cool card signed. The guy that did the Ghostbuster art, he does all the like 80s arts.
Very nice guy.
Yeah. They give him the style guide and he just makes it look exactly like those 80s cartoons. Really, really cool dude. Same thing. Just walked over to his line. nobody was there, and he was like, I haven't. There's this new signature I want to try. You're the only one in line. Like, are you cool sitting here for 15 minutes while I do it? And I was just like, absolutely. Like, that's a lot of fun. And then, I mean, just one of the flexes that I have with a lot of my decks is I have all of the Dan Frazier stones, like in the Dan Frazier art, and most of them are signed. I don't have like the signets signed that like they just recently did. But I can bust out a deck and all of the stones are signed, and like those transfer to whatever deck is my favorite deck, because like it's like Mox Diamond and all of those, like signed, Lion's Eye Diamond signed, you know. It was those are a lot of fun, like life-changing experience. Like, I have held the original Llanoware Elf and Animate Dead in my hand. Like, I have a picture of me holding both of those iconic cards. What was printed from? You know, like,
I was there when that happened. I think the coolest part of the experience is the artist, you know, and I don't remember his name at the moment, but he was thrilled that you were thrilled.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you were like, how much will it cost? He's like, just take a picture.
Yeah,
Man. It's cool. But it's cool to, I mean, Magic is made by nerds for nerds, all around nerds.
that was specifically a cool experience, because at no point did I walk up and say I want to hold them. I didn't even know that they were there. I just remember whenever I was a kid, I thought he would find this interesting, that I was looking through bulk because my dad was looking at like Spider-Man comics or something, and I was somewhat interested in Magic because I was like, oh, there's like zombies and blood and like, you know, all that. And I'm like, you know, maybe 12, oldest 13 or 14. And I'm looking through and I see Llanoware Elves, and it's just this like profile of this like gnarly looking head that has all this armor on. It looks like he has like goggles, and I don't know what's going on. And I'm just like, can I have this instead of a comic? You know? And it was like, you know, 5 cents. And then my dad was like, sure. And I just had it, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I didn't know it was like, you know, an iconic card that I'd be using to this day. You know? And I told him, I was like, yeah, you know, I just, something about your style, like I just saw it and it just popped out to me. And it was just like, it was just a head, you know. But even though it was just a head of an elf, I was just like, that's the coolest thing. And he was just like, you know, I've got it beneath the table. You want to hold it? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're getting Animate Dead signed? I happen to have that too. You want to hold both? And I was like, yeah. And I was just like, I'm not going to be able to take a picture if I have both in my hands. And he was just like, I'll take it for you.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because that's exactly how he was. Like he was so thrilled that you were thrilled, and you were just like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
But I think after that, maybe he had charged to take the pictures.
I think he got, because a lot, some people saw me do it, and like it was a special thing because like that was my first card that I ever picked up, and like I specifically was drawn to his art, and I think some people were like asking, and he was just like, I don't want people like putting their fingers all over this like original Animate Dead. This is like a $6,000 painting, you know? And like I asked him, I was just like, I'm not gonna buy it. And if this is a rude question, I'm sorry, but how much would you sell it for? And he's like, I would never sell this. And I was like, fair enough. And he's like, I just have it because I think it's cool. And in my head, I'm just like, I would never get on a plane with that. Like, I take my cards out and proxy them whenever I'm going on a plane. And like, that's a $500 card. You know? Like,
me personally, I'm not as reserved. I like carrying my cards. However, you know.
Yeah, I will say now that I'm not playing weekly, I do have all of my original cards in there and the original lands. And it's really cool because I'll forget, and then I'll be playing, and then all of a sudden I'll like see my Mox Diamond that's signed by Dan Frazier, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool. You know, like,
yeah. And not to just go off on a tangent about conventions, but if you have not been to one, it is a good refresh for Magic. I mean, you might get to play a little bit, or you could just walk around all day.
I honestly prefer not to play recently just because there's so many cool things to do and so many cool things to get. Um, and I will say that, like, we're not even just talking about MagicCon. Like, MagicCon, of course, is like the coolest of the cool. But we went like to Command Fest, and
SCG had a really cool event.
yeah, and then like we didn't go to this, but when we got back from MagicCon, about an hour from our hometown, there was a tournament that was in a convention, and I don't remember why we didn't go. Like,
I think it was so much overload.
yeah,
We were just like, you know what, it's too
like
much.
our friends went, and they came back with almost the same amount of signed cool cards in their deck that we did from MagicCon. The demonic consultation. One of our friends got the demonic consultation rabbit that had just come out. That's in the future site frame, signed, and like cool signed, like,
oh, it's like
pink
neon
background.
pink,
Yeah, neon pink background. And like, I was just like, not that I was like jealous. Like, I was happy for him.
I was 100%.
But I was just like, I went to MagicCon and I didn't even get something that cool. Like, you know, I do have like a stack of 30 cards that I got signed, but like, I wanted that one. Like, you're telling me I could have drove to a tournament an hour away and I could have played in a tournament and still got stuff signed, and they didn't have to fly, or like, you know?
I would also make this point too, because we keep talking about MagicCon and that might not be as obtainable for other people, but we have had some fire interactions with people in smaller conventions.
Yeah.
Because I know for sure A. Miller.
Oh, yeah.
I've met him like at 3 different conventions, and the one that stands out the most was when he signed my Crom, and it was nobody in line.
Yeah.
Like I walked up, I was like, you did this card, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, yeah, this one.
I remember it was such a cool experience that I was watching some like other creators, and he had a Kickstarter for like a bunch of tokens that like weren't available when we went, and one of them was specifically the 2/2 bird, and it was a cardinal and a blue jay fused together like Crom, and I was just like, that's your birthday present I got you.
Oh man, I use it still to this day. I have a big bird one too that I really like, but the electric one is probably my favorite.
And it's like, you know, electric in the background. Like, he did such a good job. It's crazy. It's not an official token too. Like, I'm pretty sure like you've busted out a couple times and people are like, what's that? That's cool.
and it's signed.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But no, I mean, finding a convention's pretty easy. I mean, you look them up at your local, like, just local conventions. And, I mean, you might even get lucky too, and it be not a, like, TCG.
Yeah.
It just has TCG stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can, like, snipe some really good rares and stuff. Like, we've done that too.
I mean, we've even gone to, like, not branded tournaments, and then there's just been a Magic artist there for something different that's like, yeah, I'll sign Magic. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What I'm kind of jealous, this is a little bit of a side tangent, but I'm jealous about Japan because the guy that did the original Charizard is now doing a lot of art for Magic the Gathering. So like, I always forget the name, the Cocaine Bear, CEDH,
Luna, no.
Lumara, I think.
Yes.
The full art is done by literally the same guy that did the original Shadowless Charizard from the base 151 set. So people are going to those conventions and getting their Pokemon cards and their Magic cards signed by the same dude. And it's like widely different styles, you know? And it's like so crazy because like you'll see the signature and then like he'll draw like a little Pokemon on the Magic cards or like a little like bear like on it, and I was just like, oh, I want one of those.
I think it would be cool as heck to have like a Pokeball at the end of it.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that'd be cool.
I think TK Post on your Sakashima didn't they do something cool, or just their signature is really cool?
Their signature is really cool, and they always sign what year they signed it.
Yeah, that's right. Because I have It's a different artist, but they do the same thing. I have a Mystic Remora that was signed, and at the time, I was just like, oh, why do you put a 23 on it? And then like now when I play it, I'm like, yeah, I got this signed like 2 years ago. Like that's so cool.
I would also say, like, if you're going to get some stuff signed and you have a question about maybe adding something to it,
Yeah.
it's not out of the box to ask them.
Yeah.
I've seen complete like revamps of cards by the artist.
I have a story about it. I'm not going to call out, I think I kind of have to, but there's a certain card that has to do with meat hooks. And there's a hand that kind of is limply hanging on the art, and it's in the shape of an O. And the guy in front of me got it signed by that artist and was like, hey, I have kind of a weird request. Can you put a dingling in the hand? Can you make an altar where you do that? And the guy was just like, personal use, right? Not going to go on Twitter, you just for fun, not going to tell anybody about it, not going to, tag me on Twitter. The guy was like, yeah, like I want a dingling on this card. And the guy was like, $40, come back in an hour.
That's awesome.
And then was working on it while he was like waiting for my stuff to dry, and I'm just like, I think I got like food chain or something, so I don't remember, but like I just remember that like with the cool signatures, they do a layer of color and then that has to dry, and then they do like black on top. So he did the color on the bottom, and then he moves over to like where he's doing his like consignment of like the custom stuff, and I'm just watching him draw a dingling. And I'm just like, yeah, cool. And then he'd like look at my card and blow on it and then go back and draw the shaft. And like, it was the weirdest thing.
That's so funny.
And then he signed it, and I was just like, yeah, thanks.
Mine isn't as funny, but I remember sniping a Mystic Remora signature.
Oh yeah.
And I walked up, and he was like drawing like a bunch of clowns on something, and I was like, what are you doing, man? And he was like, oh, this person, I'm doing an alternate art for this card. He wanted clowns on it. I'm gonna do it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that they do that, and it's not very expensive. Like it's usually around like $40 to $60 depending on the difficulty. And like both of us, the woman that does the Lion's Eye Diamond, like just walked up to her, got it done in 10 minutes, walked away.
Yeah, she's so awesome.
Yeah.
Margaret, I really like her. But anyway, enough on cons. It's a good breath of fresh air if you want to be in the nerdy space, but also do some like other activities.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a good way to be like, I want to take a break from Magic. I'm going to go to this tournament I'm going to go to this convention in 2 weeks. My Magic friends, let's go. I'm not abandoning you. I just need a break. But yeah, those are the ways that we've kind of found to refresh yourself on CEDH. I know that there's a lot of grinding to it, a lot of, putting a card in a deck and playing it for a couple hours, then going home and being like, no, that didn't work. And then putting another card in and being like, actually, that worked worse. And then like going back and forth and really grinding your deck out, and then playing tournaments and then being like, oh, tournaments are completely different. Like that didn't work how I thought it was. Like I need to go back to the drawing board. That can get really exhausting. So if you guys need a break, those are our suggestions on how to kind of still enjoy your cards, but not keep grinding CEDH over and over again, and how to take a good breather from the format if you need it.
For sure. Thanks, guys, for listening. I mean, I know it's a little bit different than we normally do.
Yeah, we'll be back with Final Fantasy
Yes.
Probably 2 episodes. There's so many. There's so many reprints. I almost just want to go over all the reprints in like an episode. It wouldn't be a good like podcast because it would just be us being like, ooh, ah. So I don't know if we'll do that, but we'll for sure have our like normal set, and then the commander set is like flesh. Like I think Warhammer 40K is in recent memory the only one that has had so many unique cards to it that like I'd say almost half of the, well, probably like a third counting lands, of the commander decks from Final Fantasy are like all new, and they're all like really cool.
I don't think out of all the stuff I've got, I don't think I have any of the commander decks.
I would say like if you're getting collector's boosters, you're gonna get
Some of the
stuff, and then like they're cool. I don't know if there's anything that's like stood out that's like CEDH cool in those. I didn't get them because I'm probably just gonna get singles.
Yeah, that's kind of right.
Because like they were expensive. It was like $350 for all 4, which I was like, nah, I'd rather get a collector's booster. Like,
yeah, I mean, and to me, I don't play like commander deck like or precons.
yeah.
So
I crack them open, I take stuff out, and then
or I keep them in a box and I don't mess with them.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's kind of like that. But
yeah, I have the mono black Warhammer 40K still sealed.
oof.
Yeah, and then I have the Knight set. I don't know why I just thought the Knight commander from, I think all will be one or something. I was like, this is gonna be good. And I had the dinosaur one sealed for a long time, and I was like, nah, I want to play that.
I have my dinosaurs still.
Yeah, I think that was like 140 or something crazy like that. It's gotten like up and down, but I mean, it's still fun.
But yeah, thanks guys for listening. Please like, subscribe,
Cool.
give us some stuff.
Yep. And if you're also excited about Final Fantasy, number 1, next episode, promise, will be about Final Fantasy. Number 2, Linktree, TCG player. Please click it.
I want to get another pack.
Yeah. It's all going to Final Fantasy. It's been a lot. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys.
Thanks guys.
Bye.
Bye.